The Dreyfus Affair, 1894 to 1906, a military cover-up, one of the most infamous cases of injustice in history. The Dreyfus Affair exposed deep-rooted anti-Semitism within the French military. Alfred Dreyfus, a Jewish officer, was falsely accused of passing military secrets to Germany. Despite a lack of credible evidence, he was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment on Devil's Island. The military deliberately suppressed proof of his innocence to protect its reputation. However, journalist Émile Zola wrote a scathing open letter titled J'accuse in 1898, which triggered national outrage. After years of legal battles and public pressure, Dreyfus was exonerated in 1906, but the scandal left lasting scars on France. Tuskegee Syphilis Experiment, 1932 to 1972, human experimentation. For 40 years, the U.S. government deceived 600 black men in Alabama, promising them free health care while secretly using them as subjects in a cruel experiment. Researchers studied the progression of syphilis without providing treatment, even after penicillin was discovered as a cure in the 1940s. The men were left to suffer and die, while scientists gathered data on the disease's effects. The horrific experiment only came to light in 1972 when journalists exposed it, leading to public outrage, lawsuits, and major changes in medical ethics, including the creation of informed consent regulations. Operation Paperclip, 1945 to 1959, hiding Nazi scientists. At the end of World War II, the U.S. secretly recruited more than 1,600 Nazi scientists, engineers, and doctors under Operation Paperclip. Many had been involved in war crimes, including human experiments and weapons development for Hitler's regime. Instead of facing justice, they were given new identities and brought to America to work on classified projects, including NASA's space program. The public remained unaware for decades until declassified documents revealed the extent of the operation. The ethical dilemma of using former Nazi scientists for American advancements continues to spark debate. The Watergate Scandal, 1972 to 1974, political espionage. In an unprecedented abuse of power, President Richard Nixon's team orchestrated a break-in at the Democratic National Committee's headquarters in the Watergate complex. Their goal was to steal information and sabotage political opponents. When the break-in was discovered, Nixon and his administration tried to cover it up, but investigative journalists Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein uncovered the truth. The scandal led to Nixon's resignation in 1974, marking the first time a U.S. president resigned from office. It remains one of the biggest political scandals in history, reinforcing the importance of investigative journalism and government accountability. The Iran-Contra Affair, 1980s secret arms deals. During the Reagan administration, the U.S. secretly sold weapons to Iran, despite an arms embargo, and used the profits to fund the Contras, an anti-communist rebel group in Nicaragua. This was a direct violation of U.S. law. When the scandal broke in 1986, it led to congressional investigations and public outrage. Several officials were convicted, though many later received pardons. The affair exposed the U.S. government's willingness to bypass laws for geopolitical strategy, raising concerns about transparency and accountability. The Gulf of Tonkin Incident, 1964, a false war justification. The Vietnam War escalated based on the claim that North Vietnamese forces attacked U.S. ships in the Gulf of Tonkin. This incident was used to justify the U.S.'s full-scale involvement in Vietnam. However, declassified documents later revealed that the attack had been exaggerated, if not entirely fabricated. The false justification led to one of the most devastating wars in history, with millions of lives lost. The revelation intensified distrust in the government and contributed to the anti-war movement in the U.S. The CIA's MKUltra program, 1950s to 1970s mind control experiments, one of the darkest government experiments in history. MKUltra aimed to develop mind control techniques using drugs, hypnosis, and psychological torture. The CIA secretly conducted experiments on unwitting citizens, often using LSD and other substances to manipulate their behavior. Some victims suffered permanent psychological damage, while others died. When the program was exposed in 1975, public outrage forced the government to shut it down. However, most records were destroyed, leaving many details of the program shrouded in mystery. The Roswell UFO cover-up 1947, a mystery that lives on. In 1947, a mysterious object crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. Initial reports described it as a flying saucer, fueling UFO conspiracy theories. The government later claimed it was a weather balloon, but declassified documents suggest it was part of a top-secret military surveillance project. The conflicting stories and secrecy surrounding the incident have kept the mystery alive for decades, making Roswell the epicenter of UFO speculation. The China COVID-19 cover-up. Present. Suppressing information. When COVID-19 first emerged in Wuhan, China, in late 2019, government officials silenced doctors who tried to warn the world. Reports were deleted, whistleblowers were punished, and information was withheld, delaying global response efforts. The origins of the virus remain controversial, with theories ranging from a natural zoonotic spillover to a potential lab leak. The lack of transparency has fueled suspicions and strained international relations. Whether the full truth will ever be revealed remains uncertain. The Snowden Revelations. 2013, The Government Spies on You. Edward Snowden, a former NSA contractor, exposed classified documents revealing that the U.S. government was conducting mass surveillance on its own citizens and foreign governments. The NSA collected phone records, emails, and internet activity on an unprecedented scale, violating privacy rights. The revelations sparked global debates on security versus privacy. Snowden fled the U.S. and remains in exile, while governments worldwide faced pressure to reform surveillance policies. These cases prove that history is full of secrets, lies, and cover-ups.